Hi there, here's Christina from Changing Parenting, and I want to address this comment because this is actually something that I get very often. Adults telling me, oh, I was raised with authoritarian parenting and I turned out fine. Or in this case, I was raised with timeouts and I turned out fine. And the reason why we think we turned out fine is because the vast majority of the adults of today's generation of society were raised with authoritarian parenting. And so they believe all those lack of social emotional skills that is kind of generalized among the population is normal, but it actually isn't. And I want to give you some examples of the effect that timeouts in particular, because it to reply to this comment, have on the adults that children become. So perhaps you can identify some, not this person in particular, but whoever is watching this video, you can identify some of these traits, not just on yourself, but also in other people you know. So these are just some of the, consequences. So our children developed and turn into adults and their emotional traits as adults for being raised with timeouts. So this is particular for timeouts. Difficulty trusting others emotionally. So you cannot really open up to other people. You're afraid because from your past, and again, this is not to this person in particular, and it's just some of the consequences of timeouts, right? Maybe you feel like you have some of them, not all of them, right? Every person is different. We all have different personalities. But this lack of ability to trust other people with our emotions comes from the fact that when you were in timeout yourself, you were taught that all those emotions you were feeling, they were not okay, and you had to deal with them by themselves. Go to your room, and when you finish crying, come outside. Go to your room, think about what you've done, and then come outside. So you have all these emotions, and you feel like, I was a bad kid because I threw the toys or whatever. I'm a bad person. You always personalize what happened, and because no one helped to deal with all those emotions, you feel like it's not safe as an adult to express those emotions to other people. Fear of being a burden. So as a child, you were taught that having feelings pushes other people away, because when you have feelings, when you want something, when you were upset, you threw the toy away, right? And immediately were told to go to a timeout. So you feel like your wants, needs, desires, this is a burden to other people. So you don't want to burden other people with your stuff. So you just bottle up everything, right? You don't share what's happening. You don't try and share the load of your emotional charge because you believe it will be a burden on other people. You don't want to, you don't want to bother other people with your stuff. The other thing that can happen also is over apologizing and self-blaming. So this happens a lot. Like, for instance, you go to the supermarket, the clerk at the register is having a bad day. She talks to you in a weird way, in an unpolite way. And immediately you're like, did I do something? Because you kind of are taught growing up that you are responsible for other people's feelings. So I did something, I made mom mad, and then she didn't want to be with me anymore. So I am responsible for my mom being upset. I am responsible for my mom screaming at me. I'm responsible for my mom punishing me and making me be alone. So as an adult, you kind of like go to that also, to that baseline that you grew up with. So whenever someone is having a bad day or whenever someone says something, you just think, did I do something? How did I cause this? Because you were not taught growing up that you are not responsible for other people's feelings, right? And emotions and actions, right? You can do something that upsets someone, but the way this person dealing, like, I can make you angry, but the way you deal with your anger is not my responsibility, right? You can deal it in a civilized way and impose boundaries and say that was not okay, and and have a conversation with me, or you can start screaming at me, whatever you decide to do with your anger. And very often it's not a decision because your emotions are in charge of your parenting. That's also something that is very common with people that were raised with timeouts is that because they never had anyone teach them self-regulation skills and they had to just bottle things up, they are much more likely to explode and let their emotions run the show because they didn't get those social emotional skills growing up. Another thing is emotional disconnection and numbness. So it's like, I just prefer not to feel, right? I'm going to drink a glass of wine or smoke a joint or, scroll mindlessly through social media or do something numbing because I'm feeling too much. I don't know how to deal with my emotions and I just need to push everything away. I need to numb my feelings again because not being taught growing up, those self-regulation skills, those emotional skills that are very important and that help us throughout our lives. Because again, instead of helping you co-regulate and teaching you that emotions are okay, but we need to deal with emotions this and that way, you were just taught, go to your room and deal with all these things by yourself, right? It's not okay to feel those emotions. It's not okay to, I don't know, maybe you start crying because, your sister took away your toy and they say, you both go and be in the bedroom. And I don't want to hear a thing, right? Just go away. And then you are like, okay, I'm upset because someone took away my toy, but like me being upset is actually getting me into trouble. This is not a good thing because it's a big weight that you carry as you grow. The other one is perfectionism. You have this feeling that unless you behave in a way that other people find good, so you're very dependent on external validation. So you feel like the way you feel good about yourself is when people praise you, and people praise you when you do things perfectly. So as soon as you don't do something that is not perfect, it's very easy for you to have a meltdown. Because again, you need that external validation and you feel that unless you're perfect, you're just not worth enough. And again, this is not for this person in particular. This is generalized. You might find these traits both in yourself and other people around you, right? Just giving you general awareness of the effects of timeouts. The other one is avoidance of conflict. So you realize growing up that whenever there was conflict, whenever there was trouble, you would get in trouble. You would be punished and be alone by yourself. So now you avoid that at all costs. You want to make sure that everyone is happy. So you're too focused on making sure that everyone is happy, that there is no stress, that there is no trouble, right? Because your brain subconsciously associates conflict with problems for yourself, with you being in danger. The other one is struggles with self-worth, because you learn that love is conditional. If you behave good, you can be with your family. If you behave in a way that your family doesn't agree with, you will need to be alone, right? So I love when you're a good girl. I don't like you when you're a bad girl. So mommy's love is conditional. If I behave properly, she loves me, and that's why I want to be perfect all the time. If I do something that mommy doesn't like, and again, it's not related to what you did exactly, it's about how it affects other people. That's always the problem with punishments, is that you might continue doing those things as long as no one finds out, right? The most important thing for you is that your parents don't find out, so that you don't get punished. So then you feel like love is conditional. And so unless people are telling you that you are amazing, you don't feel good enough about yourself, because you feel like love and safety are conditional. And unless other people love me, unless other people, accept me and what I do, then I will be in danger. I will not be loved. These are just some of the consequences of timeouts for adults. So yeah, in reply to this comment, we often think we turned out fine, but when you think really, really think about it, you didn't.